Hey, what is up, all you lonely watchers out there? As you may know, Yokai Watch is a series which suffers from dwindling availability. The 3DS and Wii U eShops shut down, media like the games and anime stopped getting localized, and the few localizations we get nowadays can be taken from us in the blink of an eye. This has created a rift in the Yokai Watch community, a rift over how to consume our favorite franchise in a world where it becomes increasingly unavailable. Hi, I'm LonelyFubuki, and today I would like to talk to you about the ethics of pirating Yokai Watch media. Now, before we talk about Yokai Watch specifically, let's make sure we're all aware of what exactly constitutes piracy. Media piracy, which I will henceforth refer to simply as piracy, is the practice of creating unauthorized copies of a creative work. This practice is generally frowned upon, because it robs creators and copyright holders of the profits they deserve. For example, let's say you wanted to watch the 2009 animated Pixar classic, WALL-E. You have several options. You can purchase a DVD or Blu-ray copy assuming you still have a device that can play DVDs or Blu-rays. But most people are more likely to stream it digitally via either buying or renting the movie from YouTube, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, etc., or by subscribing to Disney Plus. In all of these scenarios, the company who holds the film's copyright gets compensation for their work, unless you happen to buy that DVD or Blu-ray used. However, if you did own the DVD or Blu-ray version, you could rip the video file onto your computer and upload it to a server for anyone to download, or alternatively, burn your own copies to distribute or sell to other people. This is piracy. This process is easy to apply to video content, but can also be done with books by scanning the pages, or video games by dumping the game files and loading them into emulators. Computer programs meant to mimic video game software. Most people would agree this is morally wrong, and most governments would agree this is legally wrong. Despite this, pirate culture thrives online, even to this day. People illegally downloading music from LimeWire in 2004 was but a small drop in the bucket compared to the extent of piracy in today's internet culture. People are dumping every piece of media possible and cataloging them across thousands of websites and databases. ROMs.com, the Internet Archive, BitTorrent, the Pirate Bay, all these have industrialized modern internet piracy and made it easier than ever for anybody to pirate whatever they please, without even the slightest bit of technical knowledge. Even older generations are getting in on the action by buying jailbroken TV boxes to watch all the cable networks they wish with no cable bills, just a one-time fee. Now, why do people pirate? Contrary to popular belief, piracy isn't a net negative practice. While some people pirate because they're too cheap to pay for the media they consume, some people simply have no other way to enjoy content. Many people don't have the extra money to spend on entertainment and may resort to piracy since the likelihood of getting caught and prosecuted as an individual downloading Avatar: The Way of Water off some sketchy website is very slim. The bigger and more important factor in this case is preservation. Dumping these movies or games or songs into an accessible database can preserve them forever. While they very much should, copyright holders don't always take the best care of their work. Songs get censored, shows get removed off streaming services. Media on these services are not guaranteed to last. The service itself isn't even guaranteed to last. This is especially true for video games, which really only work under specific conditions on specific hardware. While you can play a song or movie or read a book on pretty much any device with a screen, video games don't have the same fate and thus are harder to preserve. If a game on a digital storefront isn't preserved before that storefront shuts down, that game is lost to time. So how does all this relate back to Yokai Watch? Well, let's start with the anime and movies first. While the anime did get localized, it released very incomplete and skipped many episodes. Out of the 214 episodes in the original series run, only 102 were dubbed into English. That's a rate at less than 50%. meaning that more than half of the entire Yokai Watch anime is only available in Japanese or Korean. And that's not even counting the series that never got proper English translations, such as Yokai Watch 2019, Yokai Watch Music Note, as well as Y School Heroes and Yokai Watch Shadow Side to an extent, but we'll get to that later. The movies have it even worse. Out of the 8 theatrical releases so far, only 2 have been localized for the West. Even then, while the first movie was released everywhere, the second movie only released in South America via Disney XD in Spanish and Brazilian Portuguese. There was also an Asian English dub that went straight to television, but it hasn't been preserved and is now considered lost media. Now, while it is true that in the West you can easily stream the Western localizations, you have to go through many hoops to experience the rest of the anime. On top of needing to create a foreign Amazon account to purchase them or utilize a VPN, you would also need to understand Japanese in order to fully appreciate it. So with that in mind, I have a question for you. Is it okay to pirate that media? There are a couple of schools of thought here when it comes to this question. Some may say follow the law at all costs. If a company didn't release a piece of media in your region, it wasn't meant for you to enjoy. You cannot buy it, but you also should not steal it either. The next school of thought is one that I won't devote much time to in this video, but I should mention it. These are the people who hate artists or don't think they should be compensated for their work. They believe that media should be free to the public to do with as they please. This is a very radical school of thought that doesn't apply much to this situation and has very little nuances to explore. The more middle ground school of thought would be as follows. Piracy is okay in this instance because there is no practical way for me to purchase it legally. Plus, there are people who put in the work to make fan-made English subtitles so I can actually understand what's going on, unlike the official release. This is basically the position of, I only pirate because the copyright holder of the media I consume has not given me the opportunity to pay for it. This is usually the principle I follow personally. Even if it is technically possible to buy one of these episodes, you would have to go through several extreme hoops, with some services even requiring payment in the local currency or a local billing address. This thought process seems to be the most popular within the fandom, which is exacerbated by official English releases such as the Animax English subs of the Shadow Side and Y School Heroes animes becoming lost media not long after their release. But it's not just the anime, as the same thought process can be applied to the Yokai Watch manga series. While all 23 mainline volumes have been translated by Viz Media, spin-offs in other series such as the movie manga, Shadow Side, Y School Heroes, Blasters, and Yonderful Days remain unlocalized. People pirate these series all the time with little backlash, to the point that most of this media has received English fan translations by multiple groups and individuals. Spectre Subs, Diary of Fumika, and Yoname, just to name a few. Fan translations of these projects have brought us closer together, but a more contentious issue is that of the main attraction of this franchise, the Yokai Watch video games. Now, let's say you want to play Yokai Watch right now in the year of our Lord Enma, 2025. Now, you have a few options. The most current option, which will also support level 5 the most, is by purchasing the Nintendo Switch Remaster on the eShop, or alternatively, a brand new physical copy. Now, this may pose some roadblocks for those of us living in the West. It may be too expensive to import a physical copy. You may not be troubled to or not know how to create a Japanese eShop account and load the appropriate funds onto it, as the Nintendo eShop has no in-store conversion. You have to use Japanese yen. And above all that, you may not understand Japanese. It's okay to admit it, I don't either. Now, some may say that the best option here is to pirate the game on an emulator and install a fan-made English translation patch. Not only would most people consider this wrong, but the English version on 3DS is so accessible and, in my opinion, controls much better. I have never seen this game sell above $20 in my life. I even remember a time where Five Below was selling this game for a measly $5. Why even bother pirating at that rate? And while that argument may work for Yokai Watch 1, it becomes much trickier to make for Yokai Watch 2. While the base versions of Yokai Watch 2 Bony Spirits and Fleshy Souls are mostly affordable, their price is still climbing and in some instances, exceeding their MSRP upon release. And even then, those two games can't compare to the infamous Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Spectres. This game has consistently sold for hundreds of dollars for years now, and you can't just tell someone to stick with the cheaper Bony Spirits or Fleshy Souls versions, because you need those two games in addition to Yokai Watch 1 and Psychic Spectres to access all the content Yokai Watch 2 has to offer. It was a scummy practice then, and it's even more scummy now when people are trying to upsell these games for whatever they can get. While exploding prices is something that's affecting the video game and collectors markets as a whole, they're hitting the later Yokai Watch releases especially hard. Either version of Yokai Watch Blasters can sell for $200 or more, and Yokai Watch 3, dear Lord Enma, $400, $500, $600. Most people can't afford to drop the price of a whole gaming console on a single game. And while the Western release of this game received very few copies, and this all has been exacerbated by the shutdown of the Nintendo 3DS eShop, where all those games had an affordable $39.99 price tag right up until the storefront went dark on March 27th, 2023. The video game collector's market, the limited release of these games when they came out, the economy, and the premature closure of the Nintendo 3DS eShop made all these games skyrocket in price. Does that really mean we should never experience these masterpieces? Now, while I don't expect every game company ever to port their entire game catalog to the latest console, especially when the game is as gimmicky as Yokai Watch or the console as gimmicky as the 3DS, that shouldn't stop you from playing these games. It is absolutely devastating to get priced out of a hobby you love, especially from scalpers. But unlike the physical collector's market, you don't have to let them win. And when level 5 doesn't even have a chance to win, why should you let some gatekeeper? Consuming Yokai Watch media is such a hassle in this day and age, but it doesn't have to be. And no matter what your opinion is on piracy coming out of this video, I want you to think about how game preservation and fan translation has brought most of us here, how it's kept us glued together so long after the series' Western demise. Who was really hurt? And more importantly, who was helped? Thank you to everyone who has helped contribute to this wonderful community. Thank you for translating. Thank you for creating. And if nothing else, thank you for watching. Bye bye, my lonely watchers.